Hello, everybody. Welcome to Math Lesson 1.4, talking about order of operations. Right, so our objective for today is we will understand the order of operations. And what the order of operations is it's basically the rules, or basically one big rule that tells us how to solve problems so that everyone gets the same answer. And you might think, well, shouldn't we all get the same answer if we're doing the math correctly? Well, in a way, you're right. Yes, we should, because a simple problem like 10 minus 3, if you do it correctly, you know it would equal 7. Everyone should get that same answer. Okay? However, when we're in 5th grade and we start adding a lot of different numbers and things and operations into one problem, there are many different ways to solve that problem. We want to make sure that we're all solving it in the same order so we get the same answer. So I'll show you an example. If we have the problem 4 plus 3 times 6, okay, we want to figure out what that equals. Okay, well, 4 plus 3, I know that is 7. And then I'm going to do times 6. So 7 times 6. I know my multiplication fact, so I know 7 times 6 equals 42. So my final answer should be 42, right? Well, one person may solve it this way, but someone else might solve it like this. Maybe they think, oh, I know my multiplication facts already, so I know 3 times 6 right off the top of my head, so I'm going to do that first. 3 times 6 is 18, and then I would drop down the 4, the adding 4, so 4 plus 18, well, that equals 22. So we had the exact same problem here, but depending on where you start, you could get 42 or 22. So which one is correct? That is why we need the order of operations, because each one of these had the math done correctly. It was just the order that changed. Okay, so the order makes these things very different. Okay, so the order of operations, if you look it up on Google, or if you're practicing on Khan Academy or something like that, you'll probably see the acronym PEMDAS or PUMDAS. So what that means, go ahead and put it down here. Actually, I'm going to switch colors. PUMDAS looks like this. P, M, D, A, S. And I'm going to really quick let my cat out so he doesn't meow. All right, so this is PUMDAS. So what PUMDAS stands for, the P stands for parentheses. And that's these little guys, okay? M and D stands for multiply / divide, both of them. And then the AS stands for addition, or we can just say add, and subtract. Okay, and then when we are doing the order of operations, well, when we're just reading, we read from left to right. We always start on this side of the page and we go over to the right. So when you are solving a math problem, we are also going from left to right. Okay, we're always going this direction, from left to right. We never go backwards, okay? So going left to right, we start with parentheses, then we look for any multiplication and division as we're going from left to right, and then we look for any addition or subtraction as we're going from left to right. All right, so let's look at this top one, and let's see if we can figure out which one is actually correct according to the order of operations. So 4 plus 3 times 6. Okay, let's start with parentheses. In fact, I'm actually going to write out PUMDAS over here on the side so I can check off each one as I go. All right, so 4 plus 3 times 6. There is no parentheses here, so I don't need to worry about that one. Next, I'm looking for multiplication and division. So any multiplication and division going from left to right. All right, so this is addition, not going to do that. This is multiplication though. So I am going to do the multiplication first, like I did down here. 3 times 6, that's 18. Okay, so I did that. There's no division to do. Now my last step is I can do the addition, subtraction, and that would be the 4 plus. So when I check that off, I now found that this is actually my correct order to do it in. 3 times 6 first, because that's multiplication and division, then the addition, okay? And that will end up with 22, okay? So let's do a couple example problems using our order of operations, okay? Let's start with, let's do this one. 7 times 2 plus 4. Okay, we're going to see what that equals. First thing we're going to do, actually, I'm going to write it over here. This helps me make sure that I'm going in order. PEMDAS, okay? Start with parentheses. I don't see any parentheses in this problem, so it's done. Next, multiplication and division. All right, I see multiplication right here, 7 times 2. I don't see any division or anything else over here, so I'm going to do 7 times 2 first. I know that equals 14. I'm going to check that off. And then my AS, okay, add and subtract. All right, I have plus 4, so I'm going to drop that down. And I'm going to finish this up by doing this addition. 14 plus 4, that equals 18. So my final answer here is going to be 18. Now, if I switched, I'm going to check that off. If I switched these orders on accident, I would get a different answer. Okay, that's why it's so important that you go in this order, because if you do the addition first, 2 plus 4 is 8, or sorry, 2 plus 4 is 6, and then you do 7 times 6, that's 42. That's a completely different number than what we got. So it's very important that you are following the order of operations so you are getting the correct answer each time. Okay, that order is crucial. Okay, let's try another one. This one's going to be a little bit more complicated. Let's do 10 minus 4 times 2 plus 4. Okay, so 10 minus 4 times 2 plus 4. Okay, here's, I'm going to put PEMDAS down here. Doesn't matter where you put it, as long as you know what problem you're going with. You can check it off as you go. All right, again, no parentheses, so I'm done with that. Check it off. Now, multiplication and division. I'm going to go from left to right. See, where's my multiplication and division? Not here. Here's one, not here. So this one, 4 times 2 is what I'm going to start with. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, so I did multiplication and division. Now I'm going to drop down my last 2 things I haven't done yet. Okay, now I'm getting to addition and subtraction. I have addition and subtraction in the same line still, but just like when we're reading, we go from left to right. You do the same thing here. See how addition and subtraction are on the same line? That means we're doing them at the same time, okay? Just because the A comes first does not mean you start with addition, okay? A and S are at the same time. They're on the same line, just like multiplication and division are on the same line. What we do is we go left to right, okay? It does not matter if subtraction or addition is first. You go left to right. So we start with our subtraction, 10 minus 8. That would be 2. And then we can drop down the plus 4. Then we can finish, okay? Finish with this right side, 2 plus 4. That equals 6. So my final answer here is going to be 6. All right? Okay, let's turn. And now here's a slightly more complicated problem, okay? So get ready for this one. 20 minus brackets, parentheses, 6 times 2 plus 3 and brackets. What does that equal? Okay, so this is a complicated one. We have much more going on in this problem than we had in any of the ones before. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with P, parentheses, okay? I do have parentheses in this one, so that is what I'm going to do first. All right, my parentheses are right here, 6 times 2. Okay, so I'm going to start with 6 times 2. I know that is 12. Okay, Now I'm going to drop everything else down with that. I have 20 minus, don't forget these brackets here, okay? That's another part of parentheses. Okay, I have 20 minus 12 plus 3, okay? I kept these brackets because I haven't completed them yet. I only did these parentheses, the 6 times 2. There are more parentheses outside of that that I need to still complete, okay? I'm not done with the parentheses yet. 12 plus 3 is still in parentheses, so I need to complete that. 12 plus 3 is 15. And now I can drop down the other part, 20 minus 15. And now there are no more parentheses. So I'm done with parentheses now. Look back at my problem. I have no multiplication or division left, so I'm already done with that. All I have is addition and subtraction, and I only have one operation to do here. 20 minus 15, and I know that equals 5. Okay, so my final answer there is going to be 5. Now check those off. Because I followed the order of operations. I started with my smallest parentheses, then moved to my next set of parentheses, and then did addition and subtraction, and ended up with 5. Okay, now, in your homework, they are going to ask you to do some order of operations where you have to figure out how to make a problem equal a certain number, okay? It sounds complicated, but it's gonna actually be pretty cool to try and figure out how you can manipulate these numbers to get to the desired answer. All right, so let me do an example with you first. All right, let's do 6 times 4 plus 0 times 3, okay? Now, I have this problem, and they're actually going to ask you, or sorry, not ask you, they're going to tell you the answer before you solve the problem. What they're trying to get you to do is place parentheses to make sure your problem equals the answer they give you, okay? So in this example, they want the answer to equal 24, okay? So we have to look at this problem and figure out where would we need to place parentheses to get it to equal 24, okay? Well, taking a look here, I see 6 times 4. Well, I know my multiplication facts, and I already know that equals 24. So I want 24. So I'm going to put parentheses around those because I know that would be 24, right? So 24 plus something. Now, I already have 24. I don't want to add anything to it, okay? So my next thing, oh, look at this, 0 times 3. I know anything times 0 is going to be 0. So if I add parentheses here, 0 times 3, that's going to be 0. So 24 plus 0, there we go. That's going to be just plain old 24. Okay, so I just needed to put parentheses around the 2 different multiplication facts. All right, that's just a brief introduction to that. Now we're going to move on to a slightly more complicated problem, placing parentheses. Okay, this one's going to take a little bit more thought. So here's our problem. 1 plus 2 times 4 minus 2. Okay, there's our problem. They want us to equal this problem to 10. Okay, how can we get these numbers to equal 10? All right, well, let me just start with my normal order of operations. I'm not even going to place any parentheses yet. Okay, I'm going to put my PEMDAS over here. There are no parentheses, so I can skip that. Now I'm going to multiplication and division from left to right. Here's my first multiplication, so I'm going to do 2 times 4. I know that is 8, and there is no other multiplication or division left, so I'm done with that. I can drop down the other pieces I haven't used yet, 1, and then the minus 2 over here. And then I can do my addition and subtraction from left to right. So if I start with 1 and add 8, that would be 9. And then minus 2, 9 minus 2 is 7. Huh, okay. So I did my order of operations and I got 7. How do I get this problem to equal 10, not 7? Okay, I'm gonna have to put some parentheses in here somewhere because we're gonna have to switch up this order to get the number I want. Okay, so let's draw this problem again. All right, let's try doing the 4 minus 2 first. Okay, I'm gonna put parentheses on there. I'm just gonna try this out, see what answer I end up with. If it's right, it's right. If it's not, I can try them somewhere else. All right, so got PEMDAS. Okay, first thing is parentheses. I just placed these parentheses, so this is the first thing I need to solve. 4 minus 2 equals 2. Done with my parentheses. I can drop down the rest of my problem. Okay, next thing is multiplication and division. Right here, 2 times 2, that's going to be 4. And drop down the rest. And last is addition and subtraction. 1 plus 4, that equals 5. Okay, that did not get me to the number I wanted to. I wanted to get to 10. I ended up with 5. Okay, so these parentheses did not get me to the number I wanted. All right, so I'm going to cross that out. So let's try this again. Same problem. 1 plus 2 times 4 minus 2. And that needs to equal 10. All right, well, I just put the parentheses here and it did not work. That didn't help me. We ended up with 5. Okay, in my normal order of operations, I already did the 2 times 4 first because it was the multiplying. We do multiplying before we do addition or subtraction. So if I put parentheses between the 2 and the 4, that wouldn't help me at all because I already did those ones first up here. I already did 2 times 4 first. So let's try it in the only place we haven't done it yet, at the front. Let's do the first 2, 1 plus 2. We'll put those in parentheses and see what happens. Okay, so if I'm doing PEMDAS, parentheses first, 1 plus 2. That equals 3. Now I can drop down the rest. Okay, now I'm doing multiplication and division. 3 times 4 minus 2. 3 times 4 is my multiplication. So I'm going to do 12. And then lastly, I can do addition and subtraction. 12 minus 2, that equals 10. And look at that. I got to the answer they wanted me to, just because I put the parentheses in a different place. All right, so when you are working on your homework tonight or today or whenever you're working on it, don't give up if you can't get to that answer the first time. Play with it a little bit. You're gonna have to do a little bit of trial and error to see where the parentheses work and where they don't. You might get lucky and get it the first time. You might not. I had to do this 3 times to get to the number they wanted, okay? But I'm still moving these things around. I'm manipulating these numbers so that I can get to the correct answer that they wanted me to get to, all right? All it took was some parentheses in the correct place, all right? So when you are doing your homework tonight, focus on that. Don't give up, all right? If it gets hard, keep trying. It's gonna take a couple times to get used to it. If you need to take a break, go ahead and do that. But please make sure that you don't just give up because you didn't get it the first time, okay? Try the problem again. Try it again. Move the things around until you can make it work for you, okay? Good luck, everybody. I can't wait to talk to you at our next live meeting.